So you're buying a property in Ghana, do your due diligence before you buy any property in Ghana. Let's hear what the Land Commission says about all of this.
Our focus is on the indenture. This is a document that is needed primarily in all your land transactions, and particularly if you want to register it. And do you know, people do not pay attention to it. And so today, we have brought on board a man who understands all the issues. He is the Acting Regional Lands Officer, Surveyor Timothy Anyidohu, Esquire. He would enlighten you on all the legalities when it comes to drafting of this document. Pay attention, don't miss out.
Today we are discussing cautions or steps to take so that you could avoid litigation. And we are going to focus mainly on what we popularly call an indenture, or the document that governs a land transaction, and what it entails, so that we are all advised when we have it and what to look out for. So every time it's the steps are first to caution us on what to do. We cannot continue to, we cannot underestimate the emphasis that we must have on running your search at the time of purchase of the land. And we say, what is a search? It will be obtaining a site plan from the person who says he's selling. This site plan is supposed to accurately describe where that parcel of land is on the face of the earth. And people who are ultra cautious may say that after you've given him this, he will engage the services of a land surveyor to again confirm if that land is truly what is being described on the site plan. That now will become the instrument that you use to submit to the Lands Commission for a search. That search would indicate and advise you on what the status of the land is in public records. Once again, we say in public records based on what is in or what has been submitted to the Lands Commission for registration. So that information will be limited to what the Lands Commission has in its records. We are also advised to visit the site for those of you who are not in Ghana, abroad, somewhere else. You must continue and take the steps of allowing somebody you can trust to go to the site, because it's important to do what we call the site investigation. What it does is that it may also reveal to you some incidents on the site. For example, the land may be for something family, but internally within the family, there's a tussle on who is the family head. That Lands Commission may not be able to assist you with. But if you visit the site, you may find two groups of young men running in different directions, and in conversations with them, it may advise you on what the current status of the headship of that family or that stool is. So today, our focus is on cautions. Employing a surveyor yourself to confirm the site is 1. Running your search is 2. 3, visiting the site to understand the dynamics on the ground. I think these are essential things. Finally, will be to use a professional in undertaking the transaction. I always say professionals have their professional indemnity at stake. And we've seen people who have sued their lawyers or taken their lawyers to General Legal Counsel or reported their surveyors to Ghana Institution of Surveyors because they believe that they were negligent in the steps by which they assisted them to purchase their land. So we always say the way you look for a mechanic to cross-check whether your car meets a certain standard, that is how you must look for professionals who understand the land business to advise you before you undertake a land transaction. Now we'll go to the meat of the issue, which is what we popularly call an indenture. What is an indenture? An indenture comprises just a contract between two people concerning a parcel of land that they intend to transact in. So the indenture is a name that came from ancient times, where the indent, you take an agreement and they used to split it into 2, so that to show that this agreement is held, part is held by one party, this part is held by the other party. So that is where the name indenture comes from. It has now become the popular way of describing a contract when it comes to land. So it has grown from the past where we used to use typewriters on these green long sheets. So you find out that people say, oh, if it's not on this green long sheet, then it's not an indenture. That is not the case. Times have gone and passed, and now we use these binded documents, sheets. The only caution that, or the advantage that we used to have with these is that these, anytime you try to amend it or take something out, it is easy to detect because it was all held together. In modern times, the use of comb-binded documents like this may afford people the opportunity of taking a sheet out and replacing it with something that was not in agreement. So ideally what people do is that they sign on every page, both parties, so that it's difficult for one person to leave and insert a document. And it will be good to number them. It helps. Usually you find out that they are unnumbered. So when somebody loses a sheet in it or there's a paper that is lost in it, it may be difficult for you to detect. So that's generally what an indenture is. Typically, I'll show you what it will look like. There's a cover page which speaks broadly about the parties. So you find the person giving it to you at the top and the person who is benefiting from it at the bottom. So you find typically Mr. X who is giving it to you. If it's a company, you find the company's name. If it's a stool, you find the stool. So maybe Ni something or Nana something acting on behalf of the X tool, then you find the person who is benefiting. If it is Obapa company, it will be there. If it is Kwame Appiah, it will be there. If it is Eunice, it will be there. So this is how it will look. The cover page will look like. Sometimes you may not find the cover page because it's usually, then also critically, yes, to the bottom, you find that there's a signature there. That signature is often that of the solicitor or the lawyer who covers this document. So it will be the document that describes who owns, the lawyer who has approved this transaction. This is very important because by law, nobody can prepare this indenture except a solicitor. So every indenture, every land transaction you see, some lawyer who is a qualified lawyer will take ownership of that indenture. Otherwise, if you come to submit it for Lands Commission, we won't accept it. If a lawsuit ensues, the legitimacy of this document will come to question. So every indenture would have some lawyer. In the current dispensation and the Land Act's legislative instruments, one of the things we are looking at is letting a full disclosure of the lawyer's name, the person's registration number, all the details that are required to identify who prepared this document so that it's easy to find in terms of litigation, to be easy. In the past, what you do is you just see a stamp with a name. You may not have the person's number, and the way it's stamped even is unclear. That's not how it's supposed to be. So it's supposed to reveal clearly which lawyer prepared the document. Then you go to the frame of the document, what we call the recitals. The recitals are the first part of the document here, where it always starts this, maybe lease, this indenture, this freehold, this conveyance, this, it will tell this sublease. Those first phrases are supposed to tell you what the parties intend to enter. Sometimes you may find out that if it's not prepared by a professional, it may say this lease, but when you read the body of the document, what they are intending to enter is not a lease agreement. It's maybe a sublease agreement. That is why it's important that a professional prepares this document. So it will just tell you who the parties are. So it's me, something, and somebody. That's just the beginning of it, trying to tell you. As soon as you finish that, and in that place, you find out that there's a provision for addresses. In modern times, people have added their phone numbers, they've added their GPS locations, they've added their post boxes. That is to make it clear for ease of communication. Lands Commission, anywhere anybody finds indenture, it's easy to communicate. More information is better than less. And people should be cautious to ensure that they put the right addresses. You find out that people undertake these agreements whilst they are in the course of their employment. Then they use their employment address. 5 years, 10 years from that, they've left their employment. When you write them a letter, it goes to the office. Nobody remembers them there, and it becomes a problem. So please ensure that you use the right address, an address that you can be reached on. If the document is ultimately registered and your address changes, it's important that you notify the registration, the Lands Commission of that change. Soon after that, you'll find out that at the bottom will be the historical antecedents of how the land became the land of the person who owns it. So it will tell you a certain story. Either way, this family got it from here. That's if you are getting it first time from a traditional area, from government, from anybody. If you are a second or third buyer, it will also tell you the history of how the first person got it and how he has authority to give it to you, the second person. So that's it. Then now you start coming down where it tells you what is the basis of the agreement you are entering. For instance, I've mentioned about a lease, for instance. It will come, the consideration, the lease, term. If it's for a lease, am I giving it to you for 50 years? Am I giving it to you for 70 years? Am I giving it to you for 30 years? That is why we cannot emphasize enough you reading the document to be sure what the contents of what you are entering. Once people get this, they assume that they own the land forever. But this indenture will be telling you what arrangement you are under. So please, you read, you see the consideration. The consideration will tell you how much money you paid for the land. That's one place where people also avoid writing the amount. They will see, and then you see them write some small rent, 10 cedis. When tomorrow you go to court and you start disputing the payments, if you don't have other means of verification of the payments, i.e. receipts, i.e. contracts of sale between the parties, if the court has to rely solely on this document, you can understand the difficulty you are putting yourself in. Also, you may be told that maybe if you put small money in, you can avoid stamp duty or tax. Don't believe that, because the stamp duty is based on fees that the Land Valuation Division has determined, not based on what you have written here. So please, it's in your interest to write fully the sums involved here.